Hello and welcome to Complexity Limits Guide for the heroic Huntsman Altimor encounter, written and produced by Crzypck in coordination with Complexity Limit, presented by Herman Miller. Throughout the fight, there's two recurring mechanics to be aware of. Spread Shot is a conal ability the boss does at a random target that deals mild damage. Spread out to minimize how many people are hit at a time, and honestly this just isn't that big of a deal. Synth Seeker on the other hand is much more impactful. Huntsman will mark 3 players and shoot a giant arrow at them 4 seconds later. The arrow hits anyone in a line from the boss to the target, dealing damage and applying a really nasty dot. The best way we found to deal with this is for the whole raid to just adjust and move away from the 3 targeted players. If you are one of those targeted players and you have an immunity, use it. That will not just prevent the initial damage, it'll also prevent the application of the dot, which makes it absolutely worth doing. If you cannot immune the dot, we recommend moving into melee range after it's been applied so the healers can keep you alive a little bit easier. In phase 1, you'll be fighting against the boss and Margor. You should keep the boss and the bear where they begin the encounter, with the raid loosely spread around them, but not too far away from the boss himself. Margor casts Jagged Claws, which is just a standard tank smack that applies a dot. You'll need to swap at 2 or 3 stacks of this. The bear also casts Vicious Lunge, which will put a red targeting circle around the random player and then jump at them after 6 seconds. This deals a big chunk of damage, but it's split between anybody hit. Just bring this into melee range and have all the melee players help soak. Cleave the boss and the bear down until Margor dies. Next up is Bargast. Keep the boss where you have him from phase 1, but Bargast should be brought to the northeast corner of the room. He has 2 major abilities to worry about. Rip Soul will deal a large chunk of shadow damage to the tank, and it'll spawn a green soul at that tank's location. This soul will walk straight to the boss, and if it reaches it, the boss gets a huge damage buff. To prevent this, you'll need to heal the soul to full health. Its starting health is based on the tank's health when Rip Soul was cast. The higher your tank's health, the higher the Rip Soul starts at. About 5 seconds after Rip Soul, Bargast will then spawn 2 shades about 10 yards away from himself. These will chain cast Deathly Roar, a raid-wide AoE ability that really freaking hurts and cannot be interrupted. However, these shades can and should be crowd controlled using things like Freezing Trap or Polymorph. While they're CC'd, they'll also gain a stacking debuff that increases their damage taken by 100% per stack. If they reach 100 energy, they'll become immune to crowd control and basically wipe the raid. What you'll want to do is keep them crowd controlled off to the sides of the room until they're at about 50 to 60 energy. At that point, drag Altimor on top of them, have 2 or 3 DPS assigned to blow all of their cooldowns, and the entire rest of the raid should also swap and help kill off the shades. Around that same time, a second Rip Soul will be cast, so the Bargast tank will need to drag the bear to the far west side of the room. Handle this one just like you did the first. Soon after the second Rip Soul, a second set of shades will spawn. Keep them crowd controlled just like you did the first set, and nuke them at 50 to 60 energy again. By the time you accomplish this, the boss should be right around 50% health, and Bargast should be about dead. The last bear you fight is Hecatus. Every melee swing, he'll gain a stack of Crushing Stone, which increases his physical damage dealt by 50%, but dramatically slows his movement speed. Once he gets 5 or 6 stacks of this, the tank should just run away. At that point, the bear will be extremely heavily slowed, but his stacks will decay with each step. Each stack that falls off will deal mild raid-wide damage, so your healers might want to have a cooldown available here for every time the tank has to run. Hecatus also casts Petrifying Howl, which will put a circle around 3 random people. This deals a small amount of damage and slows you down, with the power of this increasing over 10 seconds. After that time it'll explode, dealing mild damage to anybody in the circle and leaving a puddle of falling stone shards. Affected players will want to move to the edges of the room to drop the puddles out of the way. When the bear dies, the boss will be at about 20% health. At this point, he gets kind of sad that you killed his bears and starts taking double damage. After that, he'll also begin casting Synth Seekers significantly more frequently. You're now in a race to kill him before the dots kill your raid. Nuke him down, don't get extra people hit by Synth Seeker, and go ahead and collect your hot new purples. Thanks for checking out our video. Now that you know how to kill the boss, be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for the rest of our guides, kill videos, and a whole lot more.